10 American history photos and the incredible true stories behind them. This is Little Boy, the atomic bomb that the U.S. Army dropped on Hiroshima, Japan, in the final days of World War II. The bombing of Hiroshima on August 6, 1945, killed 80,000 people, flattened the city, and changed the world forever. On October 11, 1987, AIDS protesters unfurled an astonishing quilt over the National Mall in Washington, D.C. The AIDS Memorial Quilt contained 1,920 panels, each dedicated to someone who had died of AIDS. However, the death toll from AIDS was much higher. Between 1981 and 1988, more than 40,000 people died of AIDS in the United States. This Pulitzer Prize-winning photo, The Soiling of Old Glory, was taken in 1976 during an anti-busing protest in front of Boston City Hall. It depicts an angry protester, Joseph Rakes, wielding an American flag. Rakes seems ready to impale lawyer Ted Landsmark, who was just passing through on his way to a meeting when he got caught up in the protests. A gas station displays an apologetic sign during the 1973 oil crisis. The crisis, which caused lines at gas stations around the country, started when Arab members of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, imposed an embargo against the United States because of the U.S. support for Israel. On November 4, 2008, Barack Obama became the first black man to be elected president in U.S. history. He and his family, wife Michelle and daughters Sasha and Malia, greeted supporters in Chicago's Grant Park following the historic election. The Wright brothers famously flew the first airplane flight on December 17, 1903, in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. But it took a lot of trial and error to get them there. Here, Wilbur Wright tests out an early airplane model in 1902. Movie star Marilyn Monroe poses in 1954 while filming The 7-Year Itch. Monroe, one of the biggest movie stars of her day, embodied stardom and glamour. But she had a difficult life behind the scenes and died of a likely suicide in 1962. John F. Kennedy Jr. offers a salute to his father's coffin on November 25, 1963. It was also his 3rd birthday. A soldier looks out over the flooded city of New Orleans following Hurricane Katrina in August 2005. The hurricane, one of the worst on record, killed between 1,200 and 1,800 people. Many were poor and people of color. Frederick Douglass, a former enslaved person who became an abolitionist, poses for a portrait in 1879. Douglass was a fiery advocate for abolition, once declaring that the conscience of the nation must be roused. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed, and its crimes against God and man must be denounced. For 3 years, 2 railroad companies worked toward each other, one from the east, and one from the west. On May 10, 1869, the 2 sides triumphantly met in Promontory, Utah. The completion of the Transcontinental Railroad marked a new era in American history, where cross-country travel became suddenly much easier and more accessible. Japanese Americans stand near signs in San Francisco, California, announcing that people of Japanese ancestry must relocate to internment camps. The internment of Japanese immigrants and Japanese Americans, which lasted from 1942 to 1945, remains a shameful chapter in American history. President Ronald Reagan offered a formal apology in 1988. President Richard Nixon flashes the V for Victory sign as he leaves the White House on August 9, 1974. Following a series of scandals, including the Watergate Hotel break-in, Nixon became the first president to resign from office. He handed power to his vice president, Gerald Ford.